generation of consultants feel that instrumental delivery is a dying art. And Dr. Nikes Stelios will talk to us how can we reduce the rate of obstetric anal sphincter in navel-bound forceps delivery.
Dear OXSFOG delegates, good morning. Thank you for giving me the chance to do an oral presentation of my work. Many thanks to the morning presenters as well. By keeping to your times, you're giving me an extra 10 minutes. No, I'm going to keep your time. All right. I will ignore it. Okay. So I'm calling this anterior non-episiotomy forceps, ANEF. And I will try to hopefully convince you that by adjusting our technique during instrumental delivery, we can actually minimize the risk of oasis. Now, instrumental delivery is linked to an increased risk of obstetric anal sphincter injuries. 2011, the instrumental delivery guidance of the Royal College says that there is no indication that routine episiotomy can actually reduce the rate of oasis. 2015, the third and fourth degree TEA guidance of the college, it says that us, as clinicians, we should actually be telling the patient that there is no evidence that episiotomy protects against oasis. And I don't know whether we say that or whether we actually say the opposite to that. So oasis rates with both routine and restrictive episiotomy are quite high. And they are quoted again by the college as 8.1 and 10.9 respectively. So the main objective when I started looking into this was what could I possibly do? How could I reduce this high rate of oasis? So this discrepancy in the protective role of episiotomy in oasis made me actually start questioning my practice. And I said, okay, I'm doing episiotomy, why do I do it? And if I don't do it, what do I have to offer instead? Could I perhaps, by adjusting my technique, offer some protection towards the maternal perineum? So when I had these thoughts in my mind, I was quite lucky to move to a low-risk unit in Banbury, a unit where you would expect the midwives to do most of the work, and us trainees work on our ton. So it's not far from the truth, believe me. And Carlos and I, at the time, so the idea was quite simple. Okay, so what I thought was that whatever nature does, it does it to try and protect itself. So we see how a chameleon here adjusts itself to its environment. So I was thinking, what does the baby do to try and protect its mother against perineal tear? And the baby is quite clever. So apart from approximation of the fetal skull bones and occasionally some overlapping, there is also this acute extension of the fetal head upwards. So it takes the pressure away from the perineum and up towards the upper part of the vagina. And the more I could see normal deliveries, the more I was observing this. So I'm like, this is quite clever. So in theory, if I were to try and mimic this, I could potentially reduce the number of oases.
So the initial application safety checks are as per traditional method. The initial pull is again as per method that we know, which is with the right hand pulling and the left hand pressing downwards. So the first pull is as per traditional method. Now when the head is crowning, it is essential that we ask the assistant to lower the bed all the way down. So the bed all the way down, please.
couple of points. In real life, you have to come much closer to the table than this. But for obvious reason, I kept my distance so you could see. The other thing is that eventually, as you can see, the forceps, they almost come to 90 degrees to maternal body axis, and this is absolutely essential. So the key points, you walk into the room, you normalize the situation. You have to make the mother at ease. You have to constantly reassure her. As the head counts, you need to lower the bed to the lowest possible position. You need to be as close to the patient as possible. Try to achieve a slow, controlled delivery of the fetal head while you are asking the mother to pant. Gradually, bring the forceps over to 90 degrees and continue to reassure the mom during this whole process. Take your time. So this is my collected data over 4 units, the last 3 years, 172 consecutive navel-bound forceps deliveries in primiparous women, where I had, without episiotomy, 7 cases of oasis, a 4.1 percentage. So 4.1% of oasis in 172 primiparous women without episiotomy is quite encouraging if the corresponding rate is routine and restrictive are 8.1 and 10.9% respectively. Now, out of those 7 cases, at least 4 were secondary to forceful maternal effort. So instead of panting, mom gets an overwhelming urge to push. So it is important for us to be prepared for that and try to accommodate. There was one case that was secondary to incorrect patient positioning, the patient being too far from me. There were no adverse fetal outcomes, and all babies had apical scores of 10 at 5 minutes. Only 13 out of those 172 women had a PPH of more than 1,000. That's a 7.6% rate, and we should be aiming to less than 33. Enhanced recovery pathways are increasingly implemented in surgery in an effort to try and reduce the impact of operating procedures while we improve patient care. Adjusting our technique can reduce the rate of oasis without compromising the fetus, and it is further associated with improved maternal recovery. I'm introducing the anterior non-episiotomy forceps, ANEF. ANEF in Greek stands for without, as in without episiotomy, or natural forceps, and this could potentially be part of EPR. The most important thing these days is the feedback that we get from colleagues, the feedback that we get from patients. This is a feedback from a colleague that's left on my YouTube video. This is an email that was sent to Mr. Chakravarti, and kindly he forwarded me from an ophthalmologist. This is a feedback from a patient, and these days where Mr. Hand is breathing down our neck, this is what we thrive for. So I cannot quite promise this, okay, if you start implementing my method, but most likely you will be feeling like that. So there are no conflicts to declare. If you would like to see these videos, just put my name in YouTube.
Anybody brave enough to ask any question? Yes, go ahead.
Stelios, thank you. I'm glad you've got such a good rate for you, the rate basis. What's the difference between your technique and Paget's manoeuvre, first of all? And the second one, I agree, no one wants to do an episiotomy if they don't want to. I think we just need to base it on that case, because sometimes you do see it tearing, and I've just got the green top guidelines in front of me, and primers do have a relative risk 7 times more than multips. In multips, I think a lot of us will maybe think not of doing a episiotomy. Obviously having good techniques, but my main question is, what's the difference between a Paget's manoeuvre?
Yeah, that's a very good question. Now, it is a combination of being quite controlled during your delivery, slowly delivering these babies, and dropping the table all the way down. So I feel that us up until now going at 45 degrees with the forceps, as the fetal head is delivering is not enough. I feel that the forceps need to go to almost 90 degrees to achieve this taking away the fetal head away from the perineum, so that the upper part of the vagina takes most of the traction.
Correct me if
Can we give Dr.
Yeah,
Zin
sorry.
that chance? Fire away. Yeah. You put
Hi,
your hand
Chris.
up.
Thank you. Do you do follow-ups on your patients? And do you have any late sequelae that you'd like to review?
Yeah, you're right. Especially in Stoke Mandeville, I was discussing with Ms. Patil, and just to see whether anything is missed, whether anyone who I thought was, let's say, a second degree tear came back as a third degree tear, and there were no such incidences. Now, that's one thing. The other thing is that increasingly as you implement this method, you're moving from away from having a second degree or a small second degree to having intact perineum or a first degree tear. So the more proficient you become with this technique, the better your result will become. So at this stage we are looking at, out of those 172 deliveries, 2/3 with either intact perineum or a first degree tear in premenopausal women.
So no long-term occult?
No. Thanks that you
Because we don't know.
Yeah, I was about to say.
Straight away, I would say I don't know.
I was about to say it's basically what we can see, just by observing. But ideally, how I would like to follow this up with MRI postnatally to see what we cannot observe, the injury that we cannot observe. Yeah.
Okay. And then Mina, we would have to start the program.
So with your technique, what was sort of the rate of anterior vaginal, anterior tears? Because that can be quite difficult.
You're right. To start with, again, I was experiencing some labial tears and occasionally some periurethral tears. They are not an issue anymore. So if you start doing this technique, you start doing it slowly. And it's not just me doing it. Colleagues and that I have shown how to do, they are managing to achieve similar results. And even if they are trying for the first time, we're talking about for FY1s and FY2s.
Mina will take the last question.
I had a similar question about secondary outcome measures that you may have looked at, and so I was going to ask about lateral wall tears, but also any risks to babies. So was there a difference in bruising, or was there any?
No. These are the rates. I did some additional slides in case questions like that come up. So these are the rates of tears at the moment, and as we said, about 2/3 you achieve intact or first degree, and this is premenopausal women. And I said, okay, let me take 20 consecutive babies that I delivered, and let me see if there is any discrepancy between venous and arterial gases, and there is hardly any discrepancy. None of my babies had a pH of less than 7.03. None of them needed any extra care, and there is no extra bruising or anything like that.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.